Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to tournament poker strategy. And now, here are your hosts, Ron Fez-Buddy and Killingbird.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. Killingbird here with you, and as always, my co-host, Ron Fez-Buddy. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What's up, TPE?
How's everybody doing?
Everybody? We're all good. You know, I do this. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast. I did some travel for business last week, and I always can't stand when I make this stupid mistake at the airport when people are like, "Have a great flight." I'm like, "You too." Like some guy selling, magazines and Tic Tacs.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fly home after work."
I always feel like such an idiot. And the other thing I do that really I can't stand that I annoy myself is like if I'm ordering lunch, right? I'd be like thinking what would you like at a deli, or even what a waitress, like, what would you like? And I'm like, you know what? Like I'm unveiling some huge surprise that this person has been like dying to know. Oh my God, he's gonna reveal it. He's gonna have the chicken club. Oh.
It would be so great if somebody just once responded to you. No, what? Oh, that's outstanding.
Hello, everybody. What?
So,
idiotic
poker.
Poker.
Can't even get that part right.
How you doing?
So we are back. I'm doing well.
Yes.
I'm getting stoked, as I know you are, because we're both getting ready to play some live poker, which neither of us get to do as much as we'd like. But you before me, you're heading up to Foxwoods, right?
Yes. Foxwoods has their first World Series circuit event coming up at the end of this month. So I am going, as of now. Things could always change, but we're going to play the first event, which is just a small 365 buy-in. But I have no idea what to expect. Those usually get nice fields, those first WSOP, those event ones usually get nice fields. And I would think, being Foxwoods first, it should draw a nice crowd, because their tournaments do generally pretty well. And I love playing Foxwoods tournaments because they're so bad. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm going to go play the main too, which I'm pretty psyched. Nice. Yeah, I'm feeling good, been playing good. Feel like it's worth taking a shot. It's not that much. I mean, $16.75. It's not cheap. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'm playing a 10K tournament.
Right. Yeah, that should be a good series. I mean, it seems like the circuit events are pulling pretty good numbers, and with that being, obviously a pretty, well publicized casino end event. Yeah. I would think, in a populated area, I think they pull a pretty good turnout.
I think so too. Their first one, I'm sure there'll be a lot of satellites in, and it's going to be a fun tournament. So I'm psyched. I'm ready to play. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm dying to play some poker.
I know. Yeah, I'm stoked too. And mine is going to be a really interesting tournament, because it's a circuit event as well, and it's in Cherokee, North Carolina. And it's the first time the circuit event's ever been in North Carolina, but it's also the first time we've ever had a live poker tournament. Our governor, or our former governor, as she was departing, signed a new law allowing the Cherokee, it's an Indian casino, allowing them to spread live games. Nice. And so this will be the first time there's ever been live cards dealt. They don't even have blackjack or anything. Like, it's all computer stuff. So so there's going to be I assume there's going to be a ton of people who it's their first real live tournament. And I also don't know what kind of circuit traffic it'll get. Like, are people, are circuit regs going to fly in for this? Or, they'll probably have just played Foxwoods, because they actually overlap a little bit.
Yeah. They could theoretically go from main event to main event.
Yes,
that's
true.
Is it worth going all the way to North Carolina for a single main event?
Right.
That's the question.
And it's not like it's in Charlotte or Raleigh.
Right.
You can't fly in and be to the casino in 20 minutes. You have to fly in and drive for and I think maybe the closest place is Knoxville, and that might be an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get a lot of locals. Although, how many locals are going to plop down $16.75 though for the
right?
Yeah. Like they'll go play the 365 because that's a big enough deal to them.
Right.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, so
No, whatever. It's an experience. I mean, on it, like, you're plus EV in it no matter what, so it's worth it for you to go do it.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, they'll probably have a lot of satellites too.
That's true.
And I'm kind of doing the same thing. Although I'm playing mine back to back. I'm playing a 360 and a 1650. I'm playing the main as well. So
Are you going with a bunch of buddies or?
Yeah, there's sort of a few people here who are kind of up in the air about going. It's kind of interesting because it's not that close. It's like, you know, it's one of those things where people are like, oh, in North Carolina, that's cool. You have a tournament close to you. And I'm like, no, it's almost 5-hour drive.
Yeah. Wow.
It's. You know, it's basically Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's right on the border. So it's a haul. So even for people here, it's not just kind of like an automatic, oh, yeah, I'd love to go play an event.
Right.
But I do think that at least one or two guys from kind of my home game crowd or whatever will probably end up going over. And I've talked to some TPE members who are going. And I think possibly we'll get an appearance from Brian Carter, who
nice.
You and I know. People listening don't know, so we won't we'll bore them with it. But yeah, an old buddy of ours who might show up. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it should be fun. It's also amazingly, this will be the first main event I've played, with the exception of the Binions main event, if you want to count that.
Wow. Nice.
But I've never played the World Series main event. I've never played a circuit main event, so it's going to be a cool experience for me on multiple levels.
I've never played a circuit main event. But obviously I played the main event a couple times. Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's you know, to seasoned people who do play every main event, it's just another tournament. But it's nice to get that adrenaline rush and be like looking forward to something that's relatively big to you. It's fun. So
yeah, I think it'll be cool. And I've seen people have been projecting what the turnouts will be, and
what are they
people
saying?
are estimating. Well, a lot of people are just talking about prize pool. So a lot of people are saying anywhere between. I've seen projections from 100K to 200K for first.
Yeah.
As you know, as the first place prize payout.
That's kind of what they get around the country, right? Pretty much.
Seems like it. Maybe a little higher in some spots. Like I think that Chicago one gets like some ridiculous turnouts and stuff. But I mean, like you said, it's an interesting dynamic because you kind of have this area that maybe a lot of people won't travel to, but you also have this area that doesn't get a lot of poker. So you might get people coming from South Carolina, from northern Georgia, from Tennessee, from North Carolina, from West Virginia.
Yeah, that's true.
You have all these markets where if they were ever going to go play one, this might be.
Yeah, I guess that's given that. Yeah, North Carolina may not be as draw as many people from North Carolina, given the location. You do have all those other states around there that are starved for poker, probably. So.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm excited too, just from the standpoint. It might sound weird, but just from the standpoint of supporting poker in North Carolina,
right.
Like I want them to keep coming back, and
of course.
And I want the state to go, wow, that brought in a lot of tourism and money.
Are there any casinos closer that, if this is successful, they might move to?
No, unfortunately, it's the only one.
Are there any casinos being rumored or in the works, given the change in laws, or?
No, in fact, I don't even know. Because it only applies to the Indian casinos. I don't even know if there's another reservation closer.
Wow.
And if there is, it's also on the western side. I know there's none over here in my neck of the woods.
Gotcha.
So even if there's another, possible location, it's probably over there.
Cool.
But
well,
either way, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
You've been crushing, so it's a good time to go into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. Well, kind of. It's misleading because I keep final tabling the shit out of like $5 rebuy and $15 rebuy and the $22 $2,500K guaranteed.
Right.
But I'm also like final table bubbling the 109s and stuff like that. So if you look at my graph, it's been pretty flat, despite the fact that I've been making a bunch of final tables. But I do, regardless, I feel like I'm playing good, and I put in more volume in the last probably month and a half than I probably put in 5 months leading up to that. So if my game's ever been on, it's now. I think.
No, your game's definitely on. I've been watching you. I've been talking to you. I think you're definitely just in the zone right now, man. So good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you. You as well, obviously. We'll make sure and post updates on Twitter and trip reports on the site so people can see.
Yeah, I'm going to make a real effort to try to take down some hands for this too, and just kind of bring them back. It's just so hard live to keep track of the hands and stuff, And then when you're trying to concentrate and focus, you don't want to be distracted by writing stuff down.
Right.
I'm going to give it a shot, though.
This might be a good opportunity to do it, because usually when we go to these circuit events, it's like me, you, and like 12 other guys, and we all hang out on breaks, and you never really get a chance to just kind of sit down with yourself. And so, this time on breaks, I'll probably be sitting there by myself, so I'll actually maybe have a chance to write some hands down. So we'll make that a goal, and both of us can hopefully bring some hands back, and we'll do a podcast and talk about some. Hopefully, we have some interesting spots.
Yeah, and in other news, it's been quite a couple of months, or even last month for potential online poker in the U.S. I know you've been following the news. I'm not sure if all our listeners have been, but New Jersey and Nevada both passed their legislation for legal in New Jersey legal online gaming, which includes games other than poker, and in Vegas online poker.
Yeah, it's great news, and it seems like it's way too early to tell, but it seems like it might be starting the domino effect that everybody's hoping for, because I'm seeing Illinois starting to talk about it. I think your state of New York is talking about it.
Let me just talk about that for a second, because the news is relatively new. I think yesterday or the day before. So those who don't know, those in New York, not any legislation obviously hasn't been passed, and no bills have been floated yet, but a budget proposal submitted by the majority includes language calling for the authorization of state-run online poker in New York. So co-signed by the state Senate leaders. The quote is basically this. I mean, literally from the bill, the Senate supports authorizing and regulating internet gaming for games of skill, including poker, to reflect recent changes in classification of these games. I mean, that is ridiculously positive language.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, great news. I haven't been successful in convincing my wife to move to New Jersey, so and I'm not joking. I tried.
You're like, it's just like 20 miles that way.
Come on, hon, it's not that far. That's really positive, and I was not expecting it to happen this fast. Like the momentum behind it. It's a bit of a pro and a con, because I was hoping that New York would just jump in and become another market for the New Jersey regulations. Like, New York is basically, and this is the hook too. The article also mentions that online poker could add as much as $100 million annually, and they point to the profits or the fees for the regulation and the licenses. So I think they're looking at the licensing as a big revenue generator, which actually I'd prefer if they just would jump in on New Jersey and then make the tax revenue from New Yorkers playing on the New Jersey sites. Because New Jersey's language is all about trying to be a hub for online poker or online gaming, so and then be a service provider to other states, which, if New York has to go through the whole process of regulating and licensing, we got a ways to go, because that takes a while to happen. Right. We're going to just jump into New Jersey. We can just be added very quickly after New Jersey has the games up and running. But I'm going to take any positive news right now. You know what I mean? I'm not complaining. New York is going to get, and I'm sure that the player pools will combine relatively quickly.
Right.
Too. It's they're writing the language for that, because they know there's some serious people looking at this and with actual industry knowledge, and they know that the liquidity of one state, is no. New York is a good state. Don't get me wrong. New York can have good games on its own,
right?
But the liquidity when you add multiple states is just tremendous, and I think they know that. So,
yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting. It's going to take some time, but I think the next 2 years or so will be pretty fascinating on the legal front for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Anyway, so
fingers crossed.
So
let's hope it happens.
Some good stuff. We're both doing well online, getting ready for some live stuff. Good stuff happening with the legislation.
Yeah, all positive for once. I like it. And in other positive news, we're going to have DannyN13 on today. He not so recently won the Canada Cup down at PCA, but we just launched the video for that, so we thought it was a good time to bring him in and talk about some hands from that, and just kind of catch up with him, because we haven't had him on the show in a while.
I love talking poker with Danny. Just one of the best, fun, interesting people to talk to. He really makes me think, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So I guess without wasting too much more time, we'll just take a quick little break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little strategy and catch up with DannyN13 on the TPE podcast.
If you are looking for the best MTT training site on the planet, look no further than TournamentPokerEdge.com. Tournament Poker Edge focuses exclusively on multi-table tournaments and features some of the best live and online pros. No waiting through cash game videos looking for the occasional tournament video. Tournament Poker Edge also offers strategy articles, forums, a member chat room, and much more. So visit TournamentPokerEdge.com and start taking your game to the next level now.
Welcome back to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. Time to bring in DannyN13 Noseworthy. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good, good.
DannyN13.
I'm back. I'm back.
Hollywood.
Being a live pro and shit.
Hollywood. DannyN13. Hollywood. I just keep getting these tweets. I'm in Santa Monica. Oh, now I'm in Hollywood. I'm hanging out with Mike Boogie. Like, what's going on here, man?
I don't know. It was so sick. So sick.
You've been on one massive road trip because we were out in the Bahamas for Canada Cup, which we'll talk about in a little more detail in a little bit. And then where did you go after that?
After that, I was home for like 3 weeks, and I said enough of this shit. I'm gonna hit the road again because I came back to like snow, and after being at Atlantis, Bahamas, I'm just like, God, this is awful. So decided to do the live thing for a bit. First, I went up to visit Big Dog Pocket Fives, Casey Jarzabek. And
were you around for his sickness or
no? I just missed
runs?
sickness.
Oh, you just missed it.
Yeah,
you missed it up front, or did you get there after it?
I got there after.
Oh, okay, all right.
But he was still on a high. He was in a pretty good mood, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously still crushing, but just not to that extreme. I don't know if anyone can ever do that again, but pretty sick.
Very nice.
And so then I left there and I went to Vegas and I played the Caesars World Series Circuit main event and made a really deep run there. I got 44th out of like, I think there was like 750 or there's two starting days. I think it was a re-enter if you busted the first starting day. I mean, go ahead.
What's a circuit event like in Vegas? Because we're used to them being here, you know, on the East Coast, and it's got to be different than like Atlantic City one, right?
It just seemed, it honestly seemed like the hardest tournament I've ever played. Live, that is, of course.
Right. Wow.
I guess like all the regs are just in Vegas, and you know, all the bosses are going to play any main event there over $1,000 or something like that.
Right.
I guess, for all the glory, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, every single table I went to, I've seen faces I knew, whether they be online pros or the live legends and stuff like that. Like I played with who was that? I don't know, like Matt Stout and a bunch of online guys were at my first table, and then I got moved, and Steve Zolotow and Will the Thrill were at my table, and I mean it was pretty tough. Now my day 2 table was nice, except things just didn't work for me. The first day 1 was a complete roller coaster. Like I should have been out like 50 times, but I kept every time I got it all in, man, I either sucked out or I just won. Like I was just up and down, up and down, up and down. Then I ran up a pretty good stack at the end of it, and then actually crushed day 2, and then just a few hands didn't go my way, and then I was out. So it was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But you know, still got 4,000 or something like that. It's all right.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad. And then where'd you go after that?
Then I played the Venetian main, and I had aces. You can ask Will the Thrill or who else was at the table? His buddy was at the table, and I seriously had aces 5 times, kings 2 or 3 times, ace king 5 or 6 times, ace queen, jacks. It didn't matter. I had all that in seriously the first 3 or 4 levels.
Oh God,
it was unbelievable. And button to small blind, me and Will the Thrill got it in aces to aces.
Oh.
Oh wow!
I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is. It was seriously the 4th or 5th time I had aces. And I raised the button, he 3-bets, I 4-bet, he 5-bets. I instantly pile it in, and he turns up aces. I'm like, this is retarded. This does not make sense. Right? So, anyways, that was just whatever. I got all my heat way too early, that one.
Yeah, that's always annoying.
So I played a few more in Vegas, nothing really. And so then I went out to L.A., and oh my God. I saw it. My buddy is Mike Boogie from the Big Brother legend himself.
I love that show, man. You're going to have to introduce me to Mike Boogie. I just love that show. He's the best.
He is
love that guy.
Yeah. So I stayed with him, and yeah, he's kind of the man out there. He owns a new bar called The Phoenix, which is really picking up, and it's a great bar. I don't know, got to throw in a plug for him because it's so great. And he owns Geisha House, sushi restaurant, and some other stuff out there. So he showed me around. He had some cool friends and some Playboy, maybe Playmate of the Year.
You are Hollywood. Derek, you're going to have to play that song.
Yeah.
That's great.
They had their birthday party, or Cara Monaco had her birthday party one night at the Phoenix, and that was kind of cool, meeting those girls and a bunch of legends there. And
do you know of his Big Brother time? Have you watched Big Brother? Do you know anything about it?
I watched him this season past when he was coach. Before that, no.
Okay, he's just a legend.
I know.
He's a legend.
And especially people in Canada, they're like, "You're friends with Mike Boogie."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. He's a good guy. They're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it's awesome.
Love him and stuff. It's funny.
Yeah, it's funny because if you said if somebody came to me and said, "I was hanging out with Joe Smith from season 3 of Survivor," I would not know any of the names of any of those people.
Right.
But when I came back from the Bahamas and I was like, "Yeah, I was hanging out with this guy Mike Boogie. I guess he was on Big Brother or something." I was like, "Oh my God, no way!" I'm like, "Wait, people know the names of the people that were on those shows?"
You know what it is about him? He way back, I think, I don't know, season 2 or 3 or whatever. He formed one of the early reality show alliances and it was the most dominating alliance in
him, Will.
Dr. Will and Mike Boogie. So he's kind of he wrote. I mean, he didn't invent alliances, but he's kind of been emulated a lot. The way that their alliance has, been copied a lot. So he's like a legend. He just really is a legend, and he's hilarious to watch. He's so charismatic and hilarious. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely is that.
Yeah. you met him in the Bahamas, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time.
All right, I'm jealous. All right, I'm coming to the next one.
Hey, not everybody can hang out with Mike Boogie, man. You got to be in a special class with me and Danny.
I was going all Hollywood on everyone. I did play some poker in L.A. I played a Saturday to the 10K main, which I got in top 2 versus Kings, and he counterfeited me on the river.
Oh, God, that's heartbreaking.
So it was just like, shit, this is terrible.
That's heartbreaking.
And I played a 2K 6-max, and couldn't get much going. Played some cash out there. Yeah. So that was it. Trip was great. Poker, not so much. But, is what it is.
Well, you've been back online crushing, though, right?
Yeah. Doing the online thing. I'm glad to be back at it. I final tabled the Big 162 2 days ago. And I got 4th for 9K. So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
And yesterday I got 14th in the Big 55. Not so cool. Real close again, though. So, making deep runs, feeling confident. It's nice to be back online in my chair in my Beavis and Butthead pajamas.
Yeah. It's tough to final table bubble, right? 10th is probably, one of the worst spots, right? But 12th to 11th to 14th just really sucks because you don't even get the satisfaction of being the bubble boy. You're just
you're just there.
You're just there, worthless. You know, it's just like, what are you? You're nowhere even near the. It's just so disappointing.
Are you kidding me? There was like 3,000 people in it, and I get 14 for $650.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In 13 more players, I get $20,000. Like,
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
It shook me, you know. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a popular theory. You know, most pros really like the top-heavy structure, but I honestly would be advocating a little bit more of a flat payout structure because I do think you should get some more for, and you know, 14th, 13th. I mean, when you outlast 3,000 people, and I'm not saying make it completely flat. You know,
no. I think you should at least get like $1,000.
Yeah, right.
$650 is just like a kick in the nuts. It
Exactly.
really was like that many people, and I don't know. I must have played it for 7 or 8 hours.
Right. I
For
just
an
don't.
online tournament, that's a grind, you know.
Yeah. And I don't think it benefits the poker economy for it to be so top heavy.
It doesn't.
You know, it really should be spread out a little bit more because if you're getting paid well for your 13th to 20th as well, you get more people who can continue to play and you know, be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And the top guys will still stay super profitable, but they just won't be, you know, $1 million ahead. You know, they'll be 600,000 ahead. I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to come off like a socialist, but you know,
why are you trying to redistribute the wealth, man?
you know what?
Why do you hate the free market?
This poker economy is Obama's fault. Now, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting conversation too, because I saw that recently. I didn't see it myself because I can't play there. But Stars made the 180 mans now pay out 27 people, I guess.
Oh, really?
I never saw that yet. Oh,
and I don't know if it's just
wow,
turbo or everything.
I mean, well, almost all the 180 mans are turbos, so let's just see. Yeah, I mean, I did not know. I haven't played a 180 man since I've been home, but yeah, 27 players. Wow.
I think it was a pretty new thing, but it just made me wonder if that was kind of their thinking behind it. Like, there's a lot of casual players that play 180s because they're kind of quick, but you know, but
it
still
seems like Full Tilt is trying to cater to turbo players as well now. They've completely revamped their schedule, and it seems like usually the Turbo Honda was like 4 a.m. for me or something like ridiculous, and now it's like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so looks like they're trying to go that route. But I mean, it makes sense. Not a lot of people have a lot of time to sit down for 8 hours, you know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. People love turbos, so it's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, good. Congratulations. Glad you're back online, crushing it,
buddy. Yep.
Got your new series up.
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the Canada Cup.
Yeah. So tell us about it, Danny. So, you know,
okay.
for those who don't know much about what happened, even walk us through a little bit of the online part, just, you know, how you got there, what the Canada Cup is. I know most of the people who subscribe to TPE know all about it, but there are people who don't that listen. So.
Okay, so what was the date of it? I think it was November 17th. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. It's a $530 buy-in online, mm-hmm. and the top 9 win a trip to the Bahamas, expenses, hotel, flight, and $500 spending money or whatever it was to play the live finale. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously a cool tournament, and also top 3 at the live finale get $10,000 seats into the main event.
Nice.
So.
Yeah.
There also was a 78K overlay this year in the online part of it, which is sick.
78,000?
78.5, yeah.
Jesus. Wow. What an overlay.
Yeah, like 343 entrants, so, you know, 530, there was a 250K guarantee.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, I don't even understand how that could really happen. I mean, it's, wow.
I mean, I know a lot of people that didn't even know about it,
right.
And the only reason I knew was because some local player that I talked to every now and then was trying to get staked for it or something, and I just decided to check it out. I don't know if Stars promoted it big time. And it was supposed to be televised. The final table was supposed to be, it says TV table, and that's how they promoted it, and all of a sudden, no, we're not doing it anymore. So that was not cool.
Yeah, that sucks. That structure though must have made for some very interesting bubbles, right? Because there's so many bubbles.
So many bubbles. I mean, the money bubble was kind of big, $500 buy-in tournament. Not sure how many were paid, maybe like 7 or something, or 36, something, I don't know, whatever it was.
Right.
But obviously, making the final 9 is huge because it's all that extra equity.
Right.
Know,
well, there's something to that too, right? So you said, did it pay 27 or 36? I know you probably don't remember for sure, but it's
honestly. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Because it's while you're looking it up, it's one thing when the bubble is like a Sunday Million bubble, right? Where what is the Sunday Million bubble at? Like 600 people, and then the real big money is still 600 people away.
Right.
But in this kind of tournament, when the big money and the big prize of going to the Bahamas is only 20 people away. That kind of makes the bubble play a little bit even weirder.
The bubble play was really, really weird. Yeah. So there was 54 spots paid.
Oh, okay. All right.
45 players got over 1250. I'm just reading here now. Yeah. So whatever. 54 spots paid. So yeah, like the bubble was insane. I mean, you could just see people just like knitting it up, like not even playing a hand. I was a complete maniac, but the thing was, I got nailed with the deck, like nailed, and you'll see it on my online series. It's hilarious. Like,
you gotta love it.
Time to run good, like unbelievable.
Yeah. I was gonna say you have to understand how fortunate you are to have the run good happen in the biggest tournament. You're always wishing, like, I hope when the run good comes in, you're like your $10 tournament. You're like, shit, why couldn't it be in the big one, right?
And it finally happened in something like that's so cool. Like this is such a unique tournament. I mean, to go, I was so excited. It was supposed to be on TV, whatever, but to go to Atlantis, Bahamas and play a live final table, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
The online part of it, it's just sick.
Yeah. Imagine the people who are really, when you're down to 10, like just imagine sweating that bubble because there's just so much extra money on the line.
Yeah.
And experience. It's just experience, yeah.
So, I mean, the vacation alone is worth a lot of money, especially coming from Canada.
Yeah.
Right. But, well, you know what's funny? Not all the guys were Canadians. They were
really?
Guys, like from whoever moved from the States.
Oh, right.
As long as Canada playing the tournament, you could qualify.
So how did it go? Did you run a big chip stack up early and
it was pretty steady, and then I lost a big flip early. I think I grinded like 15, 20 big blinds forever, and then it was just a grind and grind and grind. I think I folded, like you'll see in the video, I folded forever and ever and ever and ever, and then I went on the 6th heater of my life. So
I love it.
Like stalking out and just having it in spots where it's like, oh my God, how does he have this? Like, it's just unbelievable.
Right.
But, I mean, it has to happen sometime over 20,000 tournaments you play online,
Exactly. And so what was the final table bubble actually like? Like, how long did it take? What position were you in at the time?
Not that long. I was around the bubbles when I started running with it. So with a couple people off the bubble, I pretty much played, like, raised every hand. Like, I just could, And the fact that I had it too obviously helped, but it was really interesting. You could just pick on everyone because even the mids, like the 150K stacks, like I went to, just to put it in perspective, I had 418K going to the final table. So like the 150K stacks did not want to tango with me.
Yeah,
there's guys with like 30, 40K, like they're gonna, they might even just fold 10s and stuff to my open because it makes sense,
Yeah. Well, what were blinds at around that time, around the bubble time?
Well, the final table started at 2,500, 5,000, so I guess it was
2-4 and 25-5, pretty much. Yeah.
2-4.
Yeah. So those guys have 40, 30, 40, 30, 35, 40 big blinds, right? So stacks are weird. You don't want to, go up against, especially someone who I'm sure you're displaying the ability to ICM fuck them, right? So, yeah, when I'm playing against a guy like you and I got 10s, it's really shitty to get involved with you with 35 bigs.
It's so funny because a super aggressive guy that was on my left, I think he was like 2 spots to my left or something on the final table bubble. He, I actually had aces on the button, and he was like 3-betting the shit out of me. He was having none of this, like, aggro just because I'm chip lead, don't fuck around kind of thing.
Right.
And, so I opened aces on the button, and he 3-bet me in the small blind. I was like, this is a miracle. I get his chips, his stack before we go to the final table. There's no way I don't win this thing.
Yeah.
I think he might have had like 250K at the time.
Oh, God.
I opened, he 3-bets, I 4-bet, and he flats, and it came like a rainbow flop, and I bet super small, and he just folded. I was like, how does he not tool? And then it's funny, when we had to wait one hand for whatever random reason at the final table. They just dealt a hand, I don't know why, but it was a glitch or something, and he was just saying, typing in chat, he was like, Danny, you're such a sicko.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Must have fun. So, okay, so the bubble burst. Anything interesting, any hands on the bubble, or
Well, it was basically that aces hand.
that ace hand, right?
Yeah.
And there were a couple guys who came in really short, right, because of that bubble dynamic, I guess.
One guy came in with, so 25-5 were the blinds. One guy came in with 36K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and next to him had 66K. So
Right. So short. Yeah.
But you can see folding that far because, I mean, it's basically kind of like playing a satellite where 9 people get a seat. You just have to kind of ignore the money, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
That it pays because you can't get that money unless you get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then with the top three winning PCA seats, there's incentive there. So tell us about, you obviously when the bubble bursts, you're ecstatic, right? You got.
And I was so happy. Like I was in a slump. I was just like getting beat up online, and I just needed this. I really did. And it was just fantastic. I wasn't even going to play it, and I was just like, everything just clicked. It was just, and to go to the Bahamas for something live, and you're the chip leader, like,
yeah.
It makes such a difference. It's not I made it. I'm going there to win this thing. You know what I mean?
Right, and you got a nice month and a half to absorb it, right, and soak it in, and just,
everyone, talk strategy with other people for final tables. It was, I could actually prepare for it. It was such a sick dynamic of a tournament.
Nice.
How much research did you do on other players? Because it's almost like a November 9 dynamic, kind of. In that,
that's.
You can sit down and be like, oh, this guy's a winning player, or this guy looks like he's just kind of a recreational player.
And he can review the hand history too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I didn't prepare like it was November 9. There was a million on the line, but I did my research.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So, okay, so you go into the Bahamas. Who'd you take with you?
Took my girlfriend.
Nice. She got a little vacation out of it, huh?
She did. And Derek Tenbush, Killing Bird, happened to follow me down there.
Very nice.
Yeah. Any excuse to go to warmer weather, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so did Mike Boogie and Mike Huntsucker.
Nice. So Huntsucker's a TPE member.
There it is, yep.
Very nice. So, great. So you get there, how many days before did you get there?
Me and Megan went down for 2 days early just so we could do like the water park and just chill, to find our way around and just not be overwhelmed right away with like, okay, you're here now, you're tired, you need to play the next day, here's all the media, everything else. Right.
So then it's the day of. So walk us through your mindset, your prep.
Well, let's say we went to, I think it was called Virgil's Barbecue for a meet and greet with all.
Okay.
So that was kind of another dynamic. You're here sitting down, eating and drinking with all these players at your final table, and trying to figure everyone out the night before.
Right. Oh, I didn't realize they did that. That's pretty sweet.
And like Jonathan Duhamel, and Jerry D, and a couple guys were there.
Oh wow.
That was kind of cool. Duhamel actually asked everyone at the table who's going to win, and I looked him in the eye and I said, I'm going to win.
That's awesome.
You were incredibly confident. That's one thing I definitely remember from that trip.
Yeah.
Like, you were 100% convinced you were going to win.
And, I mean, that's what you need to be like. I don't understand why everyone else wouldn't feel that way. You know?
Yeah, you had just decided. Like, you had just already decided you were going to win.
Yep.
And you got off to a pretty lightning fast start, too.
Did I bust, like, 3 people, like, right away.
Yeah.
That must have felt great.
Oh, it was amazing. I was just in awe. Like, I ran it up to, like, 700K, like, in, I don't know, an hour maybe from where 18 start.
So were there any...
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry, Derek.
I was just going to say it was fun from the rail because, we were all kind of hanging out, having drinks, and just enjoying the rail, but also knowing that we probably had like 8 hours ahead of us or whatever. And so all these other people had their friends and family and stuff too hanging on the rail, but like some of them lasted like 10 minutes. So they kind of get there and they're all pumped up to like root on their buddy, and then this like guy stands up and walks away from the table, and all his buddies just like follow by.
Oh, so depressing. That's so depressing.
And I mean, look, we've all been there because, like last summer in Vegas, we'd go to see somebody at the final table, and then like an hour later, we're all walking out with our heads down. So, not like we're immune to it either, but it was just a weird dynamic because we're kind of sitting there going, yeah, Danny, and they're all like, sigh. But they were all, everybody seemed cool. That's, everybody was nice enough about it. But
how they had the final table set up, though, was pretty poor. I mean, they should have had an announcer or something, or camera, like, I don't know. They should have did something. It was up on a platform. No one could see shit.
Right.
No one had a clue what was on the go until I would, like, wink at someone, like Megan or Derek or the other guys, and I'd have to tell them, like, oh, I just won this, I just busted him, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah.
They should, for next year, I mean, I hope they should have televised it in the first place, but they should have at least had an announcer saying, oh, Danny raised this to this.
Right.
Yeah. So people watching have somewhat of a clue going on.
Right. So what's the point of having people watch if they're not going to be able to actually see what's going on? You're just sitting there.
Yeah.
They have the lights and the table and the little area there and seats everywhere. So I don't understand. Like, an audience can't enjoy poker. Like, they can't see anything. It's not watching a sport.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and we kind of learned after a while, like, because they were up on a platform, we kind of learned that you could walk pretty much right up to the table and nobody was going to say anything to you. But for the first, like, 3, 4, 5 bust outs, we just kind of felt like we had to stand back in our chairs.
Right.
Like, you didn't feel comfortable walking to the table to see an all-in or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So it got a little better, but they just needed to reverse it, basically. They needed the table on the floor, and they needed the people on the riser.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
That makes sense. So, to this, were there any interesting hands in these during the course of these bust outs?
Yeah. I mean, I really should have wrote them down if I knew I was going to be on a podcast talking about them. But there is definitely a couple I remember very clearly. So I think it was I was on the button to begin the final table, obviously, just running insanely good. It was great. A couple hands in, 2 or 3 hands in, I was in middle position. The Dutch 4141. He is a Supernova Elite player. So he was one to watch. He was on my right, and he started the hand with 107K, which was 21 big blinds.
Right.
He opens. I look down at queens, obviously.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
I know. And the interesting thing about this is that ICM-wise, like, he kind of needs to stay out of my way with the 7 big blind stack, 13 big blind stack.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, there's 2 guys. 9th place pays 41.50. 8th pays 56.25. 6th place pays 5 figures. So, he opens. I 3-bet the 2.1x or whatever.
And he said he's to your right, so he's in an early position?
Yep. I think he opened under a gun +2, and I was in middle position.
Right.
And so 2 of those guys were behind me who... was it 2? Yeah, I think 2 of the guys at the short stacks were behind me still to act. So more than likely, if I'm 3-betting, I'm calling those guys. I have to mathematically.
Right. But isn't this a pretty good spot for you to 3-bet him, though?
Oh, of course it is.
It
definitely is. It's just like... he kind of should have it if he's going to make a play here,
Right.
in my opinion. So he flats my 3-bet. So he started the hand with 21 bigs, flats my 2.1 or 2.2x, whatever it was.
Out of position.
Out of position.
I never know how to interpret that. I'm like, I don't know how to interpret that. What do you think?
It was so weird. So weird. I was like, if he's flatting aces or kings here, my life sucks.
Right.
No, even if I lose the hand, I still have 300K. It's just a cooler. It doesn't matter, you know.
Well, especially because, like you said, he's the good, maybe the next best player at the table. So you have to assume he's good enough to not be flatting shit.
Yeah. It was super weird. And so he flats. It comes Jack, XX, Rainbow.
Just how sorry to stop you there, but how big was your 3-bet? Was it just a 2x or?
It was just 2.1 or 2.2.
So he makes it like 10K to start.
The min 10K.
You make it 21 or 22 or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
And so he calls.
Right.
And Jack, XX, Rainbow, and he checks. I bet like at least all like 1/4, 1/3 pot. And he just piles. Call. And he rolls over Jack 10 off.
Off? Wow.
Off.
See, because what I was going to say, that flat, like this is how I interpret that, and I don't know, you tell me if I'm crazy or not. It's either aces and kings, and he's just, flattening you there to get you to spaz out, which, I'm not sure if he should be doing that or not, but either that or he's got a hand with the small, the tiny 3-bet. He wants to see a flop and, hopefully flop big, like I would say Jack 10 suited or 10, Jack Queen suited or something like that, right?
And I think he has a strong cash game background, so
right.
that might not seem that bad to him.
Right.
Right. So, I don't know, but obviously he should have took more factors into consideration. I mean, I just don't know why he would want to play against the chip leader who has 4 times his chips when there's 2 guys super short.
Yeah.
A couple hands deep in the final table when I'm 3-bet in the middle position. It's just like absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's played. I mean, of course I have like ace 10s and ace 5s and whatever in my range. But as played, I get his check shove. I mean, I guess it's not that bad. The fact I have queens sucks, obviously, but I don't think he should have just folded pre-flop, of course.
Right. Yeah, but he's thinking that tiny bet, the 3-bet cost him not that much to see the flop, and like you said, in a cash game, it's one thing, but with all the other factors involved in a tournament and the stack sizes, it doesn't seem right to me.
Oh, final table, it's just it's bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
And when there's guys with 6 and 7 big blinds, should he even be opening Jack 10 at all? I mean, he should obviously be folding to your 3-bet. But shouldn't he just be folding to begin with?
Yeah, he should just be folding.
Because he's going to have to call those guys.
He's going to have to call the 7 big blind stack, and that's it. But, yes, and that guy was in late position or whatever, so.
Yeah.
He was opening to call him, but even calling him is kind of gross. I mean, you leave yourself, 7 big blinds when you lose the hand? 6 big blinds.
Right.
So.
Yep.
I don't know. No, he would leave himself 13, but still,
Yeah, still not a great situation. But nice to lose the good player early.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. When I busted him, I was ecstatic. I was like, I'm only worried about one more guy, and that was Bushman. Bushman is a sicko. But you know what? Overall, he played fairly nitty, and we didn't really get in spots together, and I just kind of avoided him and picked on all the soft spots at the table, and, never got into much trouble.
Nice.
I'm curious have you run into any of these guys since, like at the tables or anything?
Chip it to the kid, the guy that came third. Yeah, I ran into him.
Yeah.
In like a turbo. Didn't really matter, but no one else, no.
And then, so when you knocked him out, how many were left?
So there was 8 left then.
Oh, okay, so that was right away. Right.
First guy to go. And then a few hands later, I open ace 8. I think, ace 8. And I get it all in versus a guy with like 6 or 7 big blinds. He has 8s, and I think I rivered the ace. So that was pretty standard. Besides that, I was just picking my spots really well. Yeah, I got pretty aggro at one point. The guy Deathblow 500, Brent Bibby's his name. I remember I outplayed him in 2 hands, and I showed him. I just took really sick lines where his range was so polarized that he either had it or he didn't, and it just didn't make sense to me. And I showed him 2 bluffs, and he ended up kind of getting frustrated with that, which was my game plan of the show.
Right. And then you got down to like 4 or 5, and
four people. So this is another bubble. Obviously, it's me, Bushman, Joe Nobody is his online. I don't know what his last name is. And Chip It to the Kid, a kid that played really well all day, very, very good. 4 of us were left, and we were all kind of even at this point. Bushman ended up being the bubble boy. He got it in 9s to ace. I don't know. It was bad. I think he got 3 outed to bubble.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
So then it was 3 of us. I think we played a couple hands, and then we started discussing a deal. We're all pretty even, and we already had the 10K seats locked up, and
right.
So when
and what were the numbers for the top 3 places? What did they pay out?
Yeah. Okay. So first place was 48K.
Mm-hmm.
Second was 35, 6, and third was 26.2, 50. So with the deal, you were looking at. I was second in chips. Chip It to the Kid was first in chips, and Joe was Nobody is the screen name. He was third. So I think Joe got 29K. They gave me like 31K, and Chip It to the Kid got like 32 something.
Uh-huh.
And with 5,400 left over to play for.
Okay.
So completely reasonable. I mean, we were pretty even, all playing good. We all knew each other were fairly solid. All the fish were out. So it made perfect sense to take a deal there.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Yep.
To play 5,400 and the victory and trophy or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And a couple bragging rights. So another interesting dynamic is that the night before at dinner we were talking, and I said whoever gets final 3 has to make an agreement. We need to start drinking.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
And, kind of enjoying a beer every now and then. I got these guys like slamming cocktails, which was great.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I think it kind of worked to my advantage. It loosened up myself. Like a few drinks made me looser and play a little more aggressive and such. But I don't think the other guys could keep up with me. And it would affect the player not. But if it did, whatever works.
You mean they wouldn't be ordering 6 drinks while railing one of their friends in an Atlantic City final table? You want to catch them doing that, Danny?
So I ended up losing a couple hands. I got Superhero call with Ace Queen High by Chip It to the Kid, and it was a very nice call by him. And the hand paid out. I don't know. I let a turn on like a 10 high flop or 10 high board, and the river was a brick, and I just bet again, and he went in the tank forever and made an Ace Queen High call. Just very nice hand. I think I had like maybe Ace 9 for a gut shot or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, he ended up being the pretty big chip leader. 2 of them had way more than I did at one point, and so they are blind versus blind, and they get it in. Joe Nobody has Ace King. Chip It to the Kid has aces, and flops a gutter ball for the Ace King and turns the Queen for the straight.
Oh God! Wow!
Like, oh man, I felt bad for him. But then that was kind of devastating for me too, because then heads up, Joe had a 4-1 chip lead on me, so I had a ton of work to do.
Right.
So yeah, I was just like, oh, this is terrible. The guy's a heads-up pro, by the way. He ended up winning the 5K heads-up tournament down at the PCA for like $80K
wow.
a week later. Yeah.
Wow.
So obviously, as an MTT pro, I have only have limited heads-up experience. I mean, how often do you get heads-up in MTT?
Hey,
Especially deep ones like this, though, I'm not really used to it. Usually the turbo heads-ups or something stupid, you just need to chuck it in or reshift,
right.
It's not much leveling or deep structure play.
Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah, I mean, I was almost down and out, but I just picked away at them and picked away and mixed up my limping buttons and raising button ranges really well. The key hand that did it for me, I limped deuce 5. I think I started the hand with like, I'm going to say 33 to 35 big blinds. And he probably had maybe like 55 or 60 to start the hand.
Okay, say again, so you limped, what did you limp?
I limped 5 deuce suited.
5 deuce suited, okay. And you were 35 deep?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
He was playing super ag. He knows how to play his heads up. When he has a 2-1 chip lead, I mean, he's just going to try to crush me and try a lot of weird stuff, put me in awkward spots. So I limped with the intention of 3-betting like a 2.5x or whatever, just because I kind of felt like he was going to do it no matter what I limped at this point. So I did do that. He did raise, and I did 3-bet. And he just flats.
Uh-huh.
We're talking like, I might have even been a little less. It might have been like 32, 33 big blinds. So what is he flatting from that stack after I 3-bet and I only have like 27 big blinds behind?
Oh, God. So the dynamic is so interesting, and I mean, it's got to, I would give it some massive strength, wouldn't you?
You would give it strength when I only have 27 behind?
Yeah, because you're going to fold a lot. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I know you too well, but the line you just set up, I just kind of see you doing, 3-bet folding a lot.
Right, but the thing is, he can even 4-bet and he can still fold to a shove. You know what I mean?
Okay. So what are the numbers here? So you start with 30, 35. You limp. He bets. You 3-bet. So let's say if we start with 30, you limped 30. He bet. So that's about, now you're down to 27 or so. When he bets, and then you 3-bet, so you have like 23 behind. Is that, am I making my numbers all over the place, or is?
Well, okay, get it.
Yeah.
Oh. So I limp from like 32, 33.
32, 33, right?
Raises to like 2.5x, so that's only 2.5. So that like if I'm to raise, make it really small. So I would only make it like 2 times whatever he raised it.
Right. So it's still small. Right. Okay. So he does have room.
Lines. So he definitely still has room to 4-bet, induce, or 4-bet and cause me to, and I'm able to fold, right? So I would expect him as he was playing, I would expect him to 4-bet the top, just because I'm very capable of spazzing in that spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I didn't realize there was room for 4-bet folding. So if that's the case, then I could see that. Okay.
So anyways, he calls. So I'm just like, okay. He's either got like an ace deuce to ace 9. I think he just piles ace 10 plus heads up, right, from those stacks.
Mm.
So I can pretty much eliminate ace 10 through ace king.
Right.
The top of his range is gone, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, he could have like 5s or 6s. I think 7s plus he's probably getting in. Even 6s, I can't imagine not just piling it. You know? So, bunch of ace deuces, ace 9 to ace 9, king queens, queen jacks, suited, stuff like that. he could have suited connectors that he's wanting to flat. I mean, he is kind of a weird, laggy player. And he's used to heads up, so I'm sure he can get away. But just looking to flop huge since it's not too much. Anyways, so the flop comes ace, 4, 8, 4 of spades. He checks to me. So I've got like a pot-sized shove left.
Right.
He just flats. I'm just like, oh my god, this doesn't make any sense. Outplay me. Did he flat the absolute top free? Like, it just, there was just no way. There was just no way. I mean, the best hand he has here is like ace 9.
Mm-hmm.
Ace 8, or if he has ace 8, I'm screwed basically because he has top 2. But you know, I thought he was just trying to rep an ace. If I gave up on the turn, he could shuffle. Because if I did actually have a pair like 10s or jacks or something like that, he could just pile and outplay me.
Right.
So he just calls. The turn is a 5 deuce. The turn was a 6. Is that right? Did you remember 6 of spades?
I think it was the 6 of spades, yeah.
Yes, because I turned the gutter straight flush draw. Double straight flush draw. Is that right? Yeah, Anyways, so basically, you know, I don't have much of a decision here. I have a double gutter, a flush draw, and he checked again. I'm like, I can definitely get him to fold here. It's size shove left. Obviously, I'm going to pile it in. He can definitely fold an ace here. It's a superhero. He's going to be crushed if I have a better ace. And he might not have anything at all. He might have just been making a flop. So, of course, he goes in the tank forever. He's just like, I can't fold an ace to you. So he calls ace 9. And that's pretty much, you know, I had his range nailed.
Yeah.
I spanked the 3, an offsuit 3 on the river. Well,
oh, that must have been a beautiful river card.
It was amazing. So he's left like 20 big blinds, and I don't know if it was the very next hand or the hand after I was on the button, and so it was 2 hands later because I was the button in that hand. I open ace 7 suited. He piles like 17, 18 big blinds. I snap call ace 7 of diamonds, and he turns over king 9. I flop 2 pair. He turns a open ender, and it breaks the turn, so I end up winning.
Beautiful.
So that was it.
So awesome. And then we celebrated.
And that's the party. That's when the party started.
Yeah. Cocktail flowing right from 3-handed right up until, you know, the end of the night.
So great. Well, a little bit delayed, but congrats on the victory. That's awesome.
Well deserved.
Very nice. It's so hard. I mean, to win tourneys in general, and just to win such a sick dynamic of a tournament, it feels great. You know, super confidence boost.
Did you ever get the check home?
No.
The big giant check?
That's a giant check. Like, I couldn't even fit my arms around. And I had to leave it because it would have cost a fortune. But they did give me a copy of the image, so I can go get it blown up somewhere. So I'm like,
oh, right on. That's cool.
That's awesome.
A very nice tag Hewer watch yesterday, though.
Really?
Oh, really?
And it's engraved my name and Canada Cup 2 and a little PokerStars logo on the dial. So it's pretty sick.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Nice. You have to post a picture of that in the forums or something.
The next day did not go so well.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I played bad at all. It's just shit just wasn't working for me. It really just was not working. Every time I would see that someone just had the overcard that was on the board when I'd have like 9s, the jack was there, and he had the jack. And then I ended up busting into a super aggro kid. I think I was on the button. He was 3-betting a ton, and he opened, I 3-bet the button, he 4-bet, I 5-bet chip, and he calls with jacks and wins. So it's pretty standard. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, not much you can do. And you know, you didn't go far in that, obviously, but you get to go home to some celebrity from what when I see you post some pictures, got some news coverage back home.
Oh yeah. I was in the Toronto Star, so that was cool.
Nice.
And actually, this week's issue of the Newfoundland Herald has a little article of my win, so that's kind of cool too. If anyone's in Newfoundland, pick up a copy. You'll see my ugly mug.
To the one guy in Newfoundland listening to this, run out.
Yeah.
Get that newspaper.
Probably.
Cool. And what are your plans now? Obviously, you're back home. You're playing any live. Since you're now the live pro.
Yeah, fair enough.
What's the live pro going to do?
It's been a learning experience playing live for me. I mean, I've done Vegas the past two summers, 6 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
All the cabs, the food, the unhealthy eating, the no routine, the buy-ins are incredibly expensive. And when you break off a bunch of live tournaments, they're not very fast adding up. Plus the 30% taxes and everything else, all expenses and everything. It's just not worth 6 weeks of my time, I don't think, when I can just sit home, play online with no expenses, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the online in front of you, you can grind out, a much more lower variance summer that way.
I don't think I'll go for 6 weeks. I might go for the main and a week of prelims or something like that. But
are you gonna try to go one time, or are you gonna try to go to multiple ones?
No, I'm just gonna go once. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I do. Yeah. But yeah, online is definitely where it's at for me at the moment. It's my comfort zone.
Right.
Live's nice for a change, but it's just so dragged out. I like firing 8 to 10 tables here.
Yeah.
In the comfort of my home.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah, it's hard to be that.
Rub it in. Every chance you get, we're in the U.S.
Yeah.
You just got to move to New Jersey, Diego.
Oh well,
not too long, huh?
New Jersey. I don't know if you follow the news, but New Jersey legalized online gaming, and they're right now drafting all the regulations and putting the licensing the operators and putting them in place.
Okay. Yeah. I heard something about it. I don't follow a whole lot of it. Obviously, I don't really care since I can play. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about it in the first segment before you joined. New York is moving towards that too. Hopefully, they put some language in the budget to. I don't know all the details of it, but there's language in the budget to investigate online gaming, legalizing it for New York as well, which is huge because we don't even have legalized casino. Well, we have some legal casinos, but it's very conservative in that regard. So then if we could pull New York and New Jersey together, and Pennsylvania and Delaware, and all the Northeast states that are starting to make it happen, we could eventually. But still years away, though.
Years away.
Yeah, years away. For New York, at least. Yeah.
Waiting game.
Cool. Well, since we're on the topic of final tables, there's one more hand, if you don't mind, that want to talk about. There's a thread in the TPE strategy forum that has a ton of posts and responses, and it's a final table hand. So since we're talking about that, it fits right in, I think. I'll read it to you. It's by TPE member Guti. I think I said it right. It was he posts. This is from March 4th. He posted it. He says he's 3 hands into the final table. He played with the villain earlier in the tournament for a few orbits and no real reads, other than he's a solid reg. I know you're not a HUD guy, Danny, but his stats here are he's a 2019 with a 13% 3-bet. So first off, the 2019 is over 185 hands. That's a pretty solid player. He's not he's not calling that often pre-flop, just flatting. He's pretty much.
So 19 means he's raising.
Yeah, 20 is the his VPIP, so voluntarily putting money into the pot is 20%, and 19% is pre-flop raise. So he's pretty much the aggressor, taking the lead almost all the hands he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 13% 3-bet over 185, which is also pretty high.
Okay.
Anything 7, 6, 7, 8 are pretty.
Is that high or is that like good for a solid reg?
It's pretty good. It's
Okay.
pretty good. I mean, it's hard to say. It's 185.
Basically, he's balancing the top and bottom.
Yeah, I would say that's true. And I couldn't make any assumptions of how good he is based on that, but he's definitely opening a lot. I mean, he's three-betting a decent amount. So he's definitely not a nit when it comes to three-betting. I think you're right. I think probably he's balancing top and bottom pretty well. Yeah. So the member goes, I felt like he could be three-betting pretty wide, seeing as I'm opening from the cutoff and stacks are set up. I guess he's the hero is in the cutoff and this guy's in the small the villain's in the small blind. So, given those that's 13% over all 185 hands.
Yeah.
In a re-steal situation or a raise against an obvious or a likely steal, it's probably even higher. So, he thinks he could be three-betting pretty wide.
Yep.
It's the best option. I'll tell you his hand in a second. He goes, I haven't played with this guy so much, but I know he's a good player. Really wasn't sure how often he's going to be 5-betting me in spots like this. I guess if he decides to 4-bet. Okay, well, anyway, you know what? I think we got to give you the hand. So it's a final table on full tilt. It's a 12K guarantee. Blinds are 4,000, 8,000. There are 9 players, so it's, like you said, 3 hands into the final table. Heroes in the cutoff with 45 big blinds. And the chip leader has 53, and that's the button, actually. And the small blind, who's the villain in this hand, has 46, and those are the 3 big stacks at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys are, big stacks as well. So like I said, the hero's the cutoff. He opens from 8,000 to 18,000, so like 2.25.
Okay.
The button folds. The small blind, which is the villain that we just profiled, raises to 47,880, which is bigger than 2.5, maybe 2.6.
Yeah, that's kind of big.
Yeah. Big blind folds, and it gets back to a hero. So now, the hero has 10s, right? So he's got 10s and late.
Oh my God!
It's such a spot because you got the dynamic of this guy could be opening, pretty wide.
Right. Then you've got 3 guys under 20 big blinds.
Yeah. The rest of the stacks are there's 13. Yeah, there's 3 guys.
What's the big blind stack?
The big blind is 17. Big blind.
17. That's interesting because if a confident reg is in the small blind, he knows if he 3-bets this spot, he has to call the big blind too.
Right. But then you also get one of those whereas if I know that you know that I know, but I guess that's making a lot of levels.
Right. I mean, he could do that with like any ace as well, and it sucks if the big blind wakes up. But okay, so 18 to 48, is it?
18 to 40. Yeah, 48 is right. 18 to 48. So
huge. I mean, does he really make it that big with the top? It seems crazy.
Right. Wouldn't you want to try to induce a little bit more?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you make it? I don't understand why someone who he's saying is a solid reg would make it that sizing with the top. Maybe ace jack, ace queen, ace king and jacks plus. I think he would make it like 38, or something around that area. 48K from 18 open. That's absurd. Which kind of leads me to believe he doesn't really have it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, my big issue too with this is that the 10s are going to be so difficult post flop.
Yeah, the 10s will be difficult post flop. I mean, I'm not folding 10s. I think that's super,
super
weak in this. With the sizing, I mean, if he makes it like 38K, I think we can 4-bet, and then if he shoves, I think we can find a fold with ICM and 3 stacks under 20 big blinds and just find a better spot. Because I mean, you're going to be flipping at best if someone 5-bet shoves.
Right.
With 45 big blinds. But to his sizing, I mean, I almost feel like shoving is maybe the best option here. We can take away his chance of shoving like 5-bet chipping like ace jack, ace queen. He should be folding ace queen if we 5-bet shove, I think.
Well, okay.
We don't need to flip against.
So right now we bet. We got 3-bet. We'd be 4. You mean 4-bet shoving?
4-bet shoving, yeah.
Okay. So and maybe it's just my conservative nature on my part, but 40 bigs this early. 10s, you think it's profitable?
Well, okay. I mean, you've got two options. You have three options. You can 4-bet call a shove, you can 4-bet fold, or you can shove and take away his chance of 5-betting if you don't think he has a made hand. Like, I don't think he has jacks, queens, kings, or aces here.
Right. So if you're
I think it
thinking that
doesn't scream that to me. So, if he does have that, it's stupid, obviously. But it also eliminates the variance if we 4-bet shove, we take away his ace jacks and ace queens that he might 5-bet rip in this spot that we flip against when, I'd rather not flip with rather just take it down there and have 52, 53 big blinds, whatever it is, rather than flip for all the chips with 10s. I don't know. It seems like a lot to shove, though. It's my only problem.
Yeah.
40 big blinds at a final table. I'm not in love with 10s by any means.
Yeah, but I think something you said is very key to this. We have to determine how often do we think he's doing this with a better pair. Because if you think he's never doing this with a better pair, he's almost never calling your rip.
Right.
Ever. So that's the first element. But then the second element is how does he feel comfortable to 5-bet bluff you? Like, how often is he going to 5-bet bluff you? Because if we start at 18, he makes it 47. What would you make your 4-bet? If you were going to go 4-bet route, not 4%.
So we need to make it 30K on top, so I would just click it back.
Just click it back, so that, what is clicking it back?
I'd make it like 80K.
Make it 80K, all right. And so then you'd be down to third, what is he, start with 36, so 280K. So you could, are you comfortable, could you 4-bet fold here? If
okay. From his sizing, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think he has jacks, queens, kings, ace, like I said.
Right.
So if I'm 4-betting, I'm calling a shove.
Okay.
I think we're ahead. But can he bluff there is the only.
That's what I'm trying to get at. If he looks at the.
That's why I like the shove the best though, because you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
He can't call with ace jack or ace queen. If he calls with ace king, it's fine because we're still ahead slightly. But he might even have to fold ace king because what is he looking to see? Ace king or 10s plus.
Right. What I'm trying to get at though is to help me understand is, can he 5-bet fold? Because if he can 5-bet fold, if he can't 5-bet fold, I guess that's the question. Can he? First, I want to know, can he 5-bet fold?
See, the sizing is so big, which is just absurd. So I think he 5-bet shoves.
Okay, right. So all 5-bets are shoves then. Okay.
If he 5-bets, I would fold. If I 4-bet, not shove.
So his 5-bet's never a bluff.
I don't think his 5-bet can be a bluff with this sizing. No, not a chance. I don't even think he leaves himself 20 big blinds if he 5-bets, right?
Right.
And who's getting out line there? If you're that sick, what is this even in? 4K to first?
Right.
Just seems crazy.
So then is the argument for not 4-bet, leaving yourself the option to 4-bet fold, is that you just put in 80K your stack without seeing any equity?
Yeah, that is an option. That is definitely. Jesus, man, this is not an easy question.
I know, and I'm not advocating doing the 4-bet fold. I just want to be clear. I just want to kind of explore it and see.
Yeah, no, I think it's great conversation. I think it's good, but
because I hate to put 80K in here and never recover any equity from it. You know, if we're going to always fold to a 5-bet because we never think he's bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, if we never think he's bluffing, then we got our answer, right? We know. But when you weigh that with the fact that we don't think he 3-bets pre with this size, jacks, queens, and kings and aces, that's important information too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my! The only thing that bothers me in this hand is that the small blind needs to call, the big blind shove behind, so he probably has somewhat of a hand.
Well, I mean, he can do that though with ace 10, ace jack, right?
Yeah, he can.
Right.
I mean, he can do it with ace rag and call it too.
There's a lot of hands that would call the big but fold to you.
Any idea what the buy-in in this tournament is?
It's 12K guarantee.
I'm guessing it's one of their $26 tournaments, but I'm not positive.
12K on full tilt can't be that high of buy-in. Probably 26, like Derek said.
26. Okay. Wow, that might even change my answer. Wow. I think wow. Okay. He makes.
I don't know how important ICM is in the question, but the pay jumps are pretty significant. I mean, you're talking 300 for ninth and almost 4,400 for first.
Right.
Yeah, but how much are they early? Are they?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't really get to be much till you're like fourth and fifth place. But like I said, it might not even be a factor in the decision with 9 people still left. Maybe if it was a little deep or a little further in.
Yeah. And we could be clear, we hate just flatting, right? Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too, just because it's going to be so hard.
I mean, yeah, it's either take away his chance to 5-bet shove, or, I mean, 4-bet calling is gross to me. We're flipping at best, right?
Yeah.
4-bet calling a shove. We can 4-bet fold or we can shove. I think that's our only 2 options in this hand.
Right.
I don't think you can 4-bet call a shove for 40 big blinds with ICM and the 3 shorties, and it just seems like a complete fail to me.
Right. It's never a bluff.
Nothing. You beat 9s maybe, and I doubt it ever. It just doesn't make sense. And out of position 3-bet to a 4-bet to a 5-bet is just crazy.
See, if we think that he's never doing this kind of open with jacks, queens, kings, aces, and we can 4-bet and be certain he's going to fold most of the time. And if he does pile, then we're probably wrong. And now what hurts is that we give away 80K of our stack with no equity recovered.
Yeah.
But you have to also weigh that against the fact that
you're still in the tournament.
Still in the tournament.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
I hate giving away 80K and then folding, but you're going to be folding, and you're only going to have 20% equity if he does jam on you.
Right. I think it's a 4-bet fold or a shove. And what is optimal? I mean, in game, it kind of depends how the guy's been playing. To me, I mean, I'd have to see some. It's hard to say what's completely optimal versus a certain player without playing against the player. But I'd probably just go with 4-bet fold.
I think so
now
too.
That I really think about it.
What makes it hard though is that you're turning 10s into a bluff basically.
Yeah.
And you hate to do that, but it's not just about the cards, right? It's about the situation that you're presented in, and you have a decent player who's putting you in a spot like that. So you just
we also need to know: does he expect? Are we capable of 4-betting out of position 3-bet when he has to call the player behind at a final table with all the shorties?
I don't.
We need to know if he perceives us to be able to capably.
I'm gonna go on a limb here, Danny, and say that you're gonna consider 99.99% of players not capable of 4-bet bluffing here.
Right.
And it's just with these stack sizes against this type of player in game, you're gonna just have to take a 4-bet as like, holy shit, this guy has aces or something.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. So he does kind of have to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst we see is ace king, and if he has ace queen suited, I mean, we're still flipping if he wants to just chuck that in, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Especially for the sizing he made, it's just crazy.
Yeah. The only thing that like sucks, like I said, is you did chuck away. If you do fold, you chuck away $80K, and you get a lot of people who don't like to, from a mathematical perspective, do something like that. But
right, but we still have 35 big blinds.
Still have 35 bigs on the final at a final table.
At a final table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better to lose 10 than 45.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I don't know what I do in game though, because
it's only a couple hands into the final table. Yeah. It's at 3 hands, did he?
Yep.
Who's 5-bet bluffing? He's not bluffing. You're flipping at best, and we don't need to flip now. We can pick way better spots, especially in a small buy-in tournament. All these clowns are trying to prize jump and whatnot.
Yep.
So yeah, 4-bet fold is definitely
now let me ask you this: in game though, okay, like that makes sense to me after we had a very lengthy discussion. But in game, what do you think in there? Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I freeze up. Like, I don't freeze up that often when I'm playing, but like in a spot like this, I definitely scream and fuck. What am I doing? My timer's going down, right?
I know. I agree. Just like what jumped out to me was the shove, because it just takes away his play, because his 3-bet sizing doesn't make sense to me for him to have it.
Yeah.
So he can only call with basically ace king is the only hand he can call with that I think is in his range to call with that we're flipping with. And I mean, if he has jacks here,
but there's always a chance you're wrong. And
of course there's a chance, yeah. But just with all given information, I don't think jacks plus are in his range.
Right.
If he has it, that's why I like the 4-bet fold instead.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes it a different dynamic that the hero says he knows this guy and that he's a good solid reg. Like if he's just some random dude, then we can't say, well, he probably doesn't do that with kings, because people 3x and 4x all the time with kings and aces, bad players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's basing that on what he's seen at the. He doesn't know him. He says, I haven't played with this guy except for at this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right. He's a little bit vague. Yeah, he says I haven't played with him so much, but know he's a good thinking
185
player.
hands though isn't that small for a tournament player having hands on a tournament player.
Yeah,
that means you've been at the table for a while. So I'm trying to.
The more I think about this now, it's just an easy 4-bet fold.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why that jumped out to me to shove. I don't know. At a final table, I think shove is bad now, and I probably sound like an idiot in the beginning of this discussion, but 4-bet fold is just 100% the option here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree with that. What sucks is that we don't get a result.
No, this thread's
been going forever.
It's
still going. Yeah, so people are
But we'll.
What does he do though?
He doesn't. We don't even know.
Oh, you don't know what he does?
We're still talking. We're 36 posts in, and
okay.
We're 36 posts in, and we're still at this decision point. And
really?
There's a lot of people chiming in, a lot of math.
What are most people saying?
No one's taking a stand. Everyone's kind of like doing some math, and everyone's kind of trying to analyze the way we just did. Like what is he doing this with? What are our options? Yeah, but let me see. What is
there seems to be a lot of talk about 4-bet about jamming.
Yeah.
But then people seem to think
like I'm just throwing it out there. What do you guys think about a flat?
I don't play tens well enough in a 3-bet. I don't call tens well enough and play them well enough post flop in a 3-bet spot. I know that as of myself. I feel like I'm gonna freeze up post flop when big cards come, and I'm not gonna want to at a final table start risking bigger parts of my stack. I just being honest with you, I don't like playing tens.
I hear
as the non-aggressor.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like flat.
It makes your life a hell of a lot easier by 4-bet and deciding. Like, I mean, I'm deciding folding before I even 4-bet, but I mean, if you flat, you can get into some. I mean, you're gonna have to call 2 streets.
Yeah.
If it comes 8 high, you're just gonna have to.
Right, and then a river, you face a big bet on the river, and your life just sucks.
Exactly, and then you're gonna convince you. A lot of the times, you'll convince yourself, like, look how strong he looks. He's never gonna put me on a hand. Right. The only hand he can put me on an 8 high flop is 8s here in this spot, basically, and that's the only hand that beats him. Or, he knows I can fold like 9s and 10s here. Yeah.
Or in certain flops, you might tool out and
exactly.
Like that. That's what I'm saying about like. That's as a tournament player, I feel like thinking about my stack and my tournament life and all those things. I just feel like I'm going to be fucking up post flop too much.
Yeah, and I mean, so what if he outplays us? I mean, we lose 10 big blinds, we have 35 at a final table. Right. 35 big blinds at a final table. If you can't find good spots in a $26 tournament, I mean, come on.
You're still like 4th in chips.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. I think it just make your life easy, 4-bet, and fold to a shove. If he owned us, good for him. It's not. You don't need to get in these hero spots. You really don't.
Yep.
Yeah, and because his 3-bet's so big, calling 2 streets, I don't even know if it's an option because they're going to be big bets.
Yeah, like what if it comes even queen high? I mean, that's like queen deuce deuce. What are you doing? What do you do?
Yeah,
right.
You call. Yeah. What are you gonna put him on? Ace queen or what? Like, can he bet jacks like that? Like,
well, I will tell you that let's say it comes queen deuce deuce. If you can, I think in a tournament like this, you can call 2 streets and fold. Like, I'm not saying it's good for your stack. But if you can call 2 streets, and if he puts the 3rd bullet in, you're beat.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, do you want to spend the rest of your chips to get to that river? Because you are beat on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find, especially when you can find out if you're beat right now by 4-bet folding.
But what's the question is, what is it going to cost us to see 2 streets? Let's think about that. If we just call, right? Let's think about that. So
he raised the 48K. We call 48, so pot is what, 96K plus the ante's 100K, whatever.
And we've already put in 48K.
Yes.
So he's going to c-bet what, 30? Well, what is he going to c-bet here? 35, 36, or what do people usually c-bet when they bet?
Yeah, I mean, in a pot like that, usually 35%, something like that.
So now we're at 75K that we've put in.
That we put in, yes.
Yeah, on the flop. And then on the turn, we're at maybe 150, 160 in the pot. He's going to basically put another 60, 70 maybe.
Yep.
Right, so we're in for 130.
130, 140.
Right, so it's better to get the answer pre.
Right, we're putting in half our stack, almost half our stack, on the turn, or by the turn anyways, and we're getting the same answer pretty much if we 4-bet.
Right. Unless we think he never 2 barrels here, but I think we're always going to see 2 barrels.
Exactly.
On most flops that we're going to want to call down, I think we're going to see 2 barrels.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But it's definitely a good hand to talk about. I mean, I need to see an answer now. It's kind of bothering me.
I know. Let's go into the thread and tell him to tell us already, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I went in there and posted that we're discussing it on the podcast. So hopefully we'll get some, a little bit more discussion, and I'll say, all right, give us the answer.
We should tweet out the forum link too, Derek. It's because I think
I'll do that.
Get some more people who haven't come to the forum and might want to, especially after listening to the podcast, they want to come in and talk about it.
Yeah, I'll tweet that out tonight for sure.
Yeah, wow. I picked this hand to talk about right now because I find it such a shitty spot so often at final tables and in big money spots. I'm glad.
Yeah, I overall I just think. Yes, we have 10s in the cutoff. Finally, we have a real hand. It's the final table. It sucks. I mean, how much does it suck to have to fold 10
but that's why you got to
this particular spot? But I mean, you have to consider more than just I have 10s. He's 3-betting me.
Yep.
Like, where am I when I 4-bet fold? Where am I going to be if I flat and call 2 streets on this certain board? Like, where does it leave me after I play this hand a certain way? Where does it leave me in the tournament? Even if I double and I'm right, really, like, it doesn't make that big of a difference. If you 4-bet fold, you still have plenty of room. Like, you can still open and bluff and pick your spots really well. With 35 big blinds, the same. You don't have to run over a table. I don't know how to. It's just, there's just so many factors after the fact, like that people don't think about.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's why poker, and we'll plug Andrew's Foucault's podcast. Is thinking poker is what the key to being winning, right? You can't just look at the hand you have. You have to really get good at this game. You're gonna have to put the one element aside and look at all the elements combined. You can't focus on just one thing.
Yeah.
You got to look at all these different things and explore them and deduce what the right thing to do is.
Right.
And that's why I also don't discount opinions that don't make sense to me at first. Like people who obviously give bad advice all the time. You can ignore them, after thinking about it, but this, you should be willing to think through opposed to what what you've been doing forever, because there could be more to it than.
Yeah, I mean, a prime example is when I jumped the gun and I said I think my stance on this is to pile. Now that I think about it, I feel like an idiot. I honestly do, because I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
With all factors considered now, like where it would leave us in the tournament in each situation, that okay, we pile and we pick up 5 or 10 big blinds. So what? Where it makes us 10 big blinds from 45 to 55 big blinds makes absolutely no difference.
Right.
Absolutely no difference. Right. So we could risk our tournament life and get snap called by jacks or queens or whatever, and risk our whole life to be in the exact same position that we are right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't articulate it, but that's what my first reaction was. Basically, the feeling along those lines is the risk reward wasn't there.
The risk reward is not even close.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling.
40 big blinds plus. I mean, between 40 and 60, there's really the play is not that much different.
Right.
You can open, from 30 to 40 big blinds. You can still open a bunch of times and pick your spots really well. I mean, we're only trying to pick these spots so we can go through the blinds to finally get a hand and get a cooler and win.
Well, I will say though, one advantage though is that you are not going to get picked on if you do that. You're gonna.
True.
No one's gonna pick on you if you show the capability of doing that right off the bat. But I don't know if that's worth it either. I don't know if that adds enough reward.
No, it definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
Certainly not in a $26 tournament final table.
Right.
That's so many soft spots. He might be. Why even tango with the only reg you know of? He probably is the only reg at the final table.
Yeah. Yep.
I think we nailed it anyway. I think we definitely covered everything.
Yep. Great discussion, Danny. Love talking poker with you, bud.
Love it.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out to talk to us, man, and we'll let you get back to your online grind.
Thanks for having me, guys. I love being back.
Yep. Congrats
awesome.
again.
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely. Cool. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back here and wrap things up on the Tournament Poker Edge podcast.
To make everything stop and kill the fall when you come back down. I'm not everything you want. I'm just a tease. Maybe I'm out of touch. You could tell me what you want. I'll give it to you. Maybe you think too much. 'Cause you're Hollywood. You never should. We never talk anymore. With your high heels on, you kill the sun. I'm not your friend anymore. Now I'm so sick and tired of everyone telling you what you want. I could never keep track of who's gonna come when you start waving your magic wand. And you seem to forget everything that you said before you had it written for you. There's too much going on that you need to belong to. It's the only thing you know how to do. 'Cause you're Hollywood, another one. You made it all on your own. With your high heels on, you kill the sun. I'm not your friend anymore.
Welcome back to the TPE podcast, everybody. Big thanks, as always, to DannyN13 for stopping in, talking a little strat with us. Always great to have Danny on the show.
Mind is blown.
I think we're going to be dreaming about this hand tonight when we go to bed.
It's so funny. As soon as we hung up, Danny's like, "Give me a call," and we talked like 5 more minutes
Yeah.
about that hand.
It really was an interesting hand, which I guess is why it got like 38 responses.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so, make sure, in addition to listening and thinking about that hand while you're listening to the podcast, make sure you head over to the forum for those of you who are members and check that hand out and just look at the discussion, because there's a ton of good discussion. I saw AZN, Mark Aliotta was in there talking about it. Some of our prominent members were in there talking about it. So there's some really good discussion. Tons of math. Somebody did like a whole page of math analysis on it. So there, we went pretty in depth, but there's some really in depth stuff in that thread. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah. I'm that was just ridiculously good hand. I struggled a little bit with the hand before that, to be honest, with the trying to figure out the stack sizes and stuff. I was advocating that he might have a strong hand. That was a little hard to follow, but that last hand was really, really good.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that. Wow.
Yeah, I found I found the process as interesting as the result. As coming to the conclusion that we came to. I just find it fascinating, the whole idea of just talking through a hand like that. And like I said, like I joked while we were talking about it, if you only had that much time during the hand to actually think about it, think how well we would play. But you got 30 seconds or whatever, and you don't always get to come to that conclusion. And Danny seemed really strong on the idea of 4-bet folding at the end. But if he only had 30 seconds to think about it, he probably would have piled already.
Right. That's the thing. It's just, man, I don't know. You don't have much time to think, and piling is so easy there because it's like, he even mentioned that, you reduce, he's going to fold a lot there, and you just makes the hand a lot easier to play. So
take the move
away from him. So you pile a lot there, but I just, risk reward wise, I just don't like it, and I'm sure you have some people who are just like pile all day, and they think it sucks to do anything else, but I just don't like that move. I just, the risk reward is not there for me, so I'm glad that Danny kind of came around on that.
Yeah.
But that was just, wow. I love that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting too. Like I hope people do go into that thread and voice their opinion, because I'm kind of curious to see if other people agree with us, disagree with us. We had a hand on the last podcast with Mark and Casey, where Casey and Mark were on pretty different pages about what they thought should be done. And a lot of people came in and said, I really agree on this side, or I really agree on that side. And I found that interesting. So hopefully people will jump in that thread and give some feedback.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, like I said, thanks, Danny. Hopefully we'll get him back on again very soon. And like we mentioned, his Canada Cup series is running right now. We got a bunch of other stuff cool going on at TP.
Yeah, some good videos. A series by Andrew Brokos just ended. Another fantastic series called Getting Paid, and it's all about value betting. And he actually calls it value targeting. Is his sort of philosophy. I loved it. I always get a lot out of Andrew's series. Beautiful series there. And then running at the same time, we actually had 2 theory series running at the same time. Mathematics MTT. So we have we've done some math videos before. I did one a long time ago with one of our previous pros, Hagbard, Celine. But this is a super in-depth series that goes over the math of poker, from the very basic of doing pot odds. So if you're new to the game, or you just don't feel like you do it right, you can watch that and you'll learn. All the way through equity calculations to, really the holy grail of ICM, right?
Yep.
So, if you don't know ICM, it's important. And in these videos, it's from the pro's name is Kevin Dorkerson. His name online is Murby, and he's actually an adjunct professor of math at a university. So serious mathematics going on there. Yeah,
and what an amazing way to like jumpstart your knowledge of poker math, because I know when I started, I probably learned pot odds, and then 2 years later, I finally got around to learning other aspects of poker math.
Right.
You kind of learn like the rule of 4 and 2 or whatever it was. You kind of figure all that kind of stuff out. How many outs do I have? But I didn't get into ICM and equity calculations and stuff till like 4 years into my poker career.
Right.
So,
and you know what? I mean, you don't want to tackle ICM 3 weeks into poker. I mean, it's just you're not ready for it. You're not even really ready for EV that yet. Maybe not that long, after starting, but you do want to kind of take a measured approach. But I'm guessing that everyone listening to this podcast is probably ready for something like ICM, just because if you're showing this interest in. If you could follow the conversation we just had with Danny, you know enough about poker to start to get into the advanced concept. So. So it's a good series, and then we got some other stuff going on. I can't wait. I just got these videos from them. I can't wait to watch these. The Daryl Jace and Chris Moon just did a series together. So that's going to be fantastic to watch. We're going to start getting those ready for posting. But that should be awesome. An awesome series to check out. So that's coming up soon. So those are the videos going on. Anything else going on you want to talk about?
There's been a few really good articles that people have given a lot of good feedback on, and I won't go over each of them, but take some time to go through the article list and spend time with those. I've gotten like more positive feedback about the content we're putting out in the last like 2 to 4 weeks than I probably have ever gotten before. So check all that stuff out. And I also have to throw a little shout out to the Chirp Herm show, Dip Throng's podcast. He just put out one. I guess probably 3 days ago.
I'm in the middle of listening to it. I was listening to it on the way home this evening, and I got
nice.
Man, Jason Kuhn is a beast.
Yeah, I know.
Scares the hell out of me. he seems like such a nice guy, but man, guy seems tough.
Yeah, it's funny because I can remember having a conversation. They actually mentioned something. I think they had. I think maybe Casey had texted in a question or something.
Yeah. Does my body intimidate you or something?
Yeah, something like that. And at some point, me and Mark had a conversation with Casey about like who he thinks he could beat in a fight and who he couldn't and stuff. And he was adamant that Jason Kuhn would destroy him.
Well, yeah, he would. He's like, he knows martial arts. He's like the most fit. He used to be a bodybuilder. He's the most fit poker player in the world, probably.
So it was just kind of funny because.
Now, do you remember we had a conversation about Jason Kuhn at a WPT hand of his a long time ago on the podcast when he was heads up? Was he head? I don't know if he was heads up, but he was at a final table with Randall Flowers for a WPT at a WPT.
It's definitely it's coming back now.
I don't remember the particulars of the hand, but I think I could be wrong, but he had either the second or third nuts, and Randall Flowers had the first nuts or the second nuts. So he had him nutted. And he was he was for sure thinking he was value betting, and then when he got raised, he almost threw up in his mouth. You could see.
That's right.
Remember that?
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
That's the first time I ever saw him, and he was clearly a great player, and he's gone on to do so much since. But that was it's funny just to hear. I was thinking about that on the when he was listening to.
That's so funny. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that again now, just because it'll be an interesting sort of parallel between the two.
Yeah, and he's great on he's great on the Chirp Herm show, and of course, Chirp is hilarious. yeah,
it's a great one. It's probably like the lowest poker strategy content, but it's got some beasts on. I mean, Jason Kuhn's on there, Poker Jammers is on there, Brian Lemke, and Luke Gallius. It's basically diphthong and like 4 pretty sick MTT players, all just kind of talking poker and life,
and they're in Hawaii for some reason.
Yeah, on a whim.
Yeah.
So it's a good listen. I'm a huge fan of that show. I mean, I know it's on our site, so it's probably a little biased, but I love listening to it. Like it's my favorite podcast to edit. I mean, when I edit this one, I've already heard it.
Yeah.
But when I edit his like the first time, I'm like sometimes I find myself having to go back and re-edit because I kind of got lost in the story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I probably should have been listening for like pauses or or whatever. So I have to go back and do it. It's a great show. So head over to TPE. It's under the podcasts menu called the Chirp Herm Show. If you haven't checked it out yet, you need to because it's money for sure.
Money.
Money. So cool. Well, I guess we have rambled on long enough.
Thank you for sticking with us. Do you think people listen
Yes.
to the end of the show? I wish we could tell.
Good question.
You know what? If you're listening to the end of the show, give us a shout out, tweet at us or something. Want to know?
Yeah, tweet at Ron Fezbuddy, or at me. Yours is just easier to say because mine's hard. I have to spell mine.
I have to look yours up every time I tweet to you. I'm like, what is this thing again?
Yeah. If only at Killingbird was available, it would be so much easier.
Yeah.
But if you hear this, tweet at either I or Ron Fizbuddy. You have to research our names to find them. And the first person who tweets, I'll send a T-shirt to.
Beautiful. There you go. The first? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll find out if somebody actually.
Yeah, but then the problem is the first person who tweets, then no one else is going to tweet to let us know they listen to the end.
That's a good point. Okay, I'll tell you what. If 20 people tweet at us, I'll draw a random person from those 20 to send a T-shirt to.
Okay, cool. And if 20, that sounds good.
And if we don't get to 20, I'll just pick somebody from 5 or so, whatever we get within 48 hours.
Cool.
Something like that.
Yep.
We'll make it up as we go.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Like we usually do.
The more the better, though.
Yeah, definitely let us know that you were listening.
I don't know why we care, but we do. Why are we doing this again?
Strokes our ego. Casey ships Sunday Millions.
Yeah, right.
Danny ships the Canada Cup. We have a podcast.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Cool. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks again to everybody for listening. Thanks again to Danny for stopping in. And I think we're going to try to get Chris Moon on in a couple of weeks. So make sure and stay tuned for that. We'll get him on as soon as we can. And we'll see you guys all next time on the TPE podcast.
See you. Later.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Lock in intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Can't read mine, no, she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Can't read mine, no, she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Poker face, poker face. Poker face, poker face. I wanna roll with her, a hard pair we will be. While little gambling is fun when you're with me. I love it. Russian roulette is not the same without a gun. And baby, when it's love, it's not rough, it isn't fun. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll get her heart, show her what I got. Can't read mine, no, she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Can't read mine, no, she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Poker face, poker face. Poker face, poker face. Can't read mine, no, she can't read a mile. Poker face, she's got to love nobody. Can't read mine, no, she can't read